Greetings. You're welcome again to another episode 5. I'm the team. You are not bad. You just need some tips to improve on yourself. Today's topic of discussion is principles. What are principles? Before we run on to that, let's understand two aspects, which are first, goals. What are goals? Goals are desired outcome, the result, our future idea. It is also process, performance, and outcome. Most times we refer to goals with the SMART: specific, measurable, attainable, and timely. An example of goals can be financial goal. Do I need a side job to improve on my finances? Maybe my community need me more. I need to volunteer in my community for them to attain their goals. The nation, do they need to have more policies or include all societies or groups in order to achieve their goals? It all depends on all of them. It all depends on the different people. It depends on you as well. Second, values. What are values? Values are things we hold much importance, things we can identify ourselves with, things we value the most, things we cherish. That's why we say identity. I identify myself with my values. There are different kinds of values, different kinds of core values, but let's focus on 5. And those core values makes us to come together to define us as humans, defines us as an environment. The core values we could talk about is adaptability. How can we adapt to the new environment? Secondly, awareness. Am I aware of my environment? Am I aware of the present crisis? Thirdly, calmness. Do I listen? Do I try to understand someone? Fourthly, we talk about balance. How can I balance my personal life, my relationships, my jobs? Fifthly, we'll talk about what? Adaptability. How can I adapt to my environment? Alright, we have talked about the core values. Now let's go down to the personal values. We all have different personal values. Let's group them into: someone might prefer to contribute, another person might prefer to compete. Someone might prefer to create a relationship, others might prefer to influence. Someone might prefer to build by doing process, while others would prefer doing action. Another person might prefer an open-minded discussion, while someone else might prefer a close in-depth conversation. It all depends on the individual. It all depends on what they intend doing, what they identify themselves with. Okay, we have spoken about values and goals. Now we'll talk about principles. What are principles? Principles are fundamental truth. They don't change, they are permanent and they are universal. The principles in life should be defined according to where we live, how we were brought up, our ethics, our cultures. There are so many principles, but let us focus on 7 basic principles. First, that is the life-changing principle in terms of your purpose. What is your purpose? Secondly, your mental health, psychology, how do you treat that? Thirdly, your physical health, how do you take care of yourself? Fourthly, we'll talk about our relationships. How do you build our relationships? Fifthly, we'll talk about time, the quality of time you offer to someone. Sixthly, we'll talk about finances. What are your finances? Those are the things we have to correlate ourselves with. We have to put ourselves, these are the principles that don't change, they're just permanent. Our values can change, our goals can change. It all depends where we belong ourselves, how we associate with people. All depends on the individual, all depends on the community, all depends on the nation. One of the tips I can give you is having a life cycle, a life compass, where you define what are your values, what are your goals, and what are your principles. So when you fall astray, when you are confused, when you are being judged, when you're not being understood, what do? You go back to your compass and you align them, you read them, you spell them out, you try to point out your weaknesses. Those are the things we have to learn. Those are the things we have to build our principles on. Most time we are being judged, we are bad because maybe we are unable to define the differentiate between the goals, the values, and the principles. Your principle has to be permanent. Your goals are your desired outcome. Your values are your identity. Don't get confused with that. Now, we have touched 5 topics on the theme You Are Not Bad. First was listening. Second was environment. Third was communication. Fourth, language. Fifth, principles. Hope you've learned a lot. Hope you've gained something. So in summary, when you are being judged, when you are being told you are bad, maybe it's because you don't listen to someone. Maybe because you judge the person. You say maybe he's a kid, maybe he's a man, maybe he's a drunkard, maybe he's a drug dealer. So many things, and we don't pay attention. It may not make sense now, but it will make sense to you when you need that advice. Also, maybe the environment where you belong, maybe the environment where you are, you don't feel, you cannot connect with the environment. Know that we have the internal environment and the external environment. And our environment provides us with security. Provide us with security. That's the main thing about the environment. Provide us with security. Maybe where you are, you don't associate with people. Maybe the people who mainly talk about events, or about ideas, or about people. So maybe that is conflicting and you don't belong there. Maybe because you want to fit into a society, fit into an environment, you tend to judge them. But rather you're poisoning yourself indirectly. You will be pointing in time that you have to show your true nature and you're able to deliver that. And who suffers? The environment or you? That. Now is the communication. How do you communicate with someone? Is it functional? Is it analytical? How do we function with someone? Do you want to impose our communication skills to the person involved? Or rather, we try to adapt to what they're talking, or we try to come together and provide that communication that benefits both of us. Another aspect is language. Do you communicate in a formal aspect or in an informal aspect? Use a lingua franca. We have to know the environment where we are and the kind of language we have to use to secure ourselves, to prove a point. Now we spoke about principles. What are your principles? What are the permanent principles in your life? Your purpose, your finances, your self-improvement, your mental health, your physical health. Those are the things you have to focus yourself on your principles. People now are broken. Why broken? Because they are not being understood, but they are being judged. Because they are being judged, they can't keep that, they can't control, they tend to pour out to the next person, which is vulnerable, looks vulnerable to them, and they express themselves through that. Through that expression, they feel happy about it. But rather, that's not the case. We all have got ideas, all got things to do, but it's good to identify them. Let's have a heading. Divide them into subheadings until you get to the deep concept or understanding of what the person is trying to say or what you are trying to bring out. Your environment is waiting for you out there. You must not fit into the ones thinking that's the only environment. No, you can move away, and when you move away, you meet the environment. It's all about creating opportunities. It's all about building yourself, self-development, self-improvement, self-confidence. That's what you should understand. Know that you can do it. Let them judge you, but they don't understand your journey. Some people met you at the beginning and left you. Others met you at the middle stage of your life, judged you and left you. Others you meet at the end of your journey will still love you or leave you, while others will stay on to the first, the middle, and the last. So my word of advice to you is, it's not every shoe that is your size. It's not every cup of water that you have to drink. Maybe now you need a glass of wine. Maybe you need a glass of milk. Let them judge you. You need to prove yourself at all times. What you have to do is develop yourself. So when you develop yourself, when they judge you, you are not being affected by it. Thank you so much. Hope you learned a lot. Next week on our video, but not on the same thing, something different. Subscribe, like, and share. It's me again, Pauline Gongang. Bye and see you. Please subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook and on Instagram.